Before we begin, tell me this. Where are you watching from right now? And if you believe that real heroes walk among us quietly, without asking for recognition, then hit like and subscribe, because the story I'm about to tell you will make you rethink what respect really means. His name was Daniel Harper. Most people called him Danny. And on that cool Friday evening, he wasn't chasing attention. He wasn't trying to prove anything. He just wanted to grab dinner at a roadside diner off Highway 47, the same one he'd been stopping at for years whenever he drove back from visiting his daughter. The bell above the door jingled when he walked in. A man in his late 60s, jacket zipped up against the wind, a baseball cap tucked low. Nothing flashy, except for one thing. Embroidered on the cap, in faded thread, were two words. Desert Storm. He walked steady, but if you looked close, you'd notice the stiffness in his knee, the way he shifted his weight just slightly as he stepped. He chose a booth by the window, the kind of seat where a man can watch the world but never be in the way. The diner wasn't busy, just a couple of truckers at the counter, a family in the back, and 3 college kids laughing too loud over milkshakes. The waitress, no older than 25, came over with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "What'll it be?" she asked, pen ready. "Just coffee, and maybe a slice of pie, if you've got cherry today," Danny said, voice calm, polite. But before the order was written down, one of the college kids snickered, loud enough for the whole diner to hear. "Look at this guy," the boy muttered, not even trying to hide it. "Another wannabe vet with his cheap hat. Probably bought it on eBay," his friends laughed. The waitress gave a small, uncomfortable chuckle too. Danny didn't say a word. He'd heard worse. But then the boy got louder. "Hey, old man," he called across the room. "You really fighting a war? Or just play Call of Duty and tell people you did?" The diner went quiet. Forks paused mid-air. Eyes shifted to Danny, waiting for his reaction. But Danny didn't argue. He didn't raise his voice. He just reached slowly into his jacket pocket and set something on the table. It was a medal, not shiny anymore, edges dulled, ribbons slightly frayed. But to anyone who knew, the weight of it was undeniable. The kid laughed again. "Oh, please, you can buy those online too." This time, the laughter didn't spread. The waitress looked down. The truckers shifted in their seats. Because even if they didn't recognize the medal, they recognized the way Danny placed it, like it meant more than words ever could. And then, someone else noticed. At the far corner of the diner, a woman in her 40s put down her fork slowly. Her name was Sergeant First Class Maria Torres. Army medic, 2 tours overseas. She knew that medal. She had seen it pinned once, on a man who didn't just serve, but saved lives in a desert where survival itself felt impossible. She stood up, walked over, and without hesitation she said, "Sir, that medal doesn't lie." The college kid rolled his eyes. "You serious? What, you gonna salute him in the middle of a diner?" But Maria didn't answer him. She turned, faced Danny, and stood at attention. And then, she saluted. The diner froze. The boy stopped laughing. Even the waitress's pen slipped from her hand. Danny looked up, surprised. His lips pressed tight. For a moment, he didn't move. Then slowly, he rose to his feet and returned the salute, steady as if time had never touched him. Silence filled the room. But it wasn't awkward anymore. It was heavy, respectful, undeniable. And just when it seemed the moment had passed, the bell above the door jingled again. In walked a man in uniform, sharp, pressed, unmistakable. Colonel James Whitmore, commander of the local reserve unit. He'd gotten a call not 5 minutes earlier from Maria herself. She hadn't explained much, just said 2 words. "Harper's here." The colonel stopped in his tracks when he saw Danny. His eyes widened, his posture shifted, and then, in front of everyone, he snapped to attention and saluted, voice cutting through the diner like steel. "Major Harper, sir." The words hit like thunder. People gasped. The college kid's face went pale, because in that single moment, everything changed. Colonel Whitmore stepped closer. "This man," he said firmly, scanning the room, "led the unit that pulled my father's squad out of Basra. He carried men across minefields when no one thought survival was possible. And you... His eyes locked on the college kid, mocked him. No one breathed. Danny shook his head lightly. Colonel, enough. I didn't come here for recognition. I came for pie. The colonel smiled faintly. And you'll have it, sir, but you'll also have the respect you earned. By now, every person in the diner had stood. The truckers by the counter, the family in the back. Even the waitress, tears in her eyes, stood straight. One by one, they raised their hands. Not all salutes perfect. Not all military, but all sincere. Danny looked around, overwhelmed. Slowly, he placed the medal back in his pocket. His voice, when he spoke, was soft. I didn't come here to be honored. I came here to remember the men who didn't make it home. The colonel nodded. And because of you, Major, they are remembered. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was full of weight, of gratitude, of history remembered. Danny sat back down. The waitress brought him his coffee and pie, hands still trembling. The college kid, red-faced, muttered an apology that Danny didn't acknowledge because he didn't need to. Respect had already been restored, and from that night forward, if you ever stopped by that roadside diner off Highway 47, you'd see a small framed picture by the register. A simple photo of a man in a cap holding a cup of coffee. No name, no caption, just 3 words underneath. Service never fades.